जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनचारी जमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनचारी जमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you all for our weekly Gita class. So we are continuing a discussion of the fourth chapter. So I think the last 1 or 2 weeks we couldn't discuss the fourth chapter. We have been traveling on a yatra. So from today on we will continue that discussion. So last time when we had the discussion of the fourth chapter, we had discussed verse number 13, which is a very important verse. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. So Krishna explains that he is the one who has created these four orders of life, the four divisions. So we had a long discussion on this varnashram system, how these four varnas and four ashrams are very scientific and actually made by Krishna. And we also, if you all remember the discussion, we also discussed how Krishna, even though he doesn't have to follow any of this varna or ashrama, still Krishna follows it in order to set a proper example. And whenever Krishna follows a particular ashram or a particular varna, he does it perfectly. So we saw how when Krishna was a brahmachari in Sandipani Muni's ashram, a perfect brahmachari, very disciplined. When he was a grahastha, perfect grahastha. When it was time for him to renounce, a perfect renunciate. And we also saw how Krishna acted like a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. Krishna did all the roles. So Krishna is showing all of us that how this is how we should live life, ready to do whatever is needed for the betterment of society. So ready to do the needful. And we saw in the life of Srila Prabhupada also, Srila Prabhupada did all the roles perfectly. Prabhupada was a perfect teacher, Prabhupada was a perfect manager, Prabhupada was a perfect servant. Prabhupada was good at everything. And Prabhupada did all services. He did Brahminical services, he did menial services. Because ultimately, we discussed this verse. Let me see if I can show you this verse. Uh, yeah. So we discussed this is the goal of Varnashram system. Atta Pumbe Dvija Shreshta Varnashrama Vibhagasha Swanustatasya Dharmasya Samsaddhir Haritoshanam. So the goal of Varnashram is ultimately to please Krishna. And who are we? Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati Napi Vaishyo Na Shudro Naham Varni Nacha Grahaprati Na Vanasto Yatirva Kintur Prodhyam Nikil Paramanandam Purnamritabder Gopi Bharatur Padakamalayur Das 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 Anudas. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has showed all of us that this is our prayer. This is our identity. We are not Brahman, we are not Kshatriya, we are not Vaishya, we are not Shudra, we are not Brahmachari, we are not Grihastha, we are not Vanaprastha, we are not Sannyas. So then who are we? Gopi Bharatur Padakamalayur Das 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 Anudas. We are eternally servants. That is our only identity. So Varnashram is a platform where we do our duties based on our psychophysical nature, but we have this awareness that we are ultimately servants of Krishna. So we ended with this verse, the discussion here. So today we will continue from verse number 14 onwards. Okay? So verse 14 is like this. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha iti mam yo bijanati karma bir na sabhadyate. So the word to word is like this. No, never. Mam, me, karmani, all kinds of work. Limpanti, do affect. No, nor, may, my. Karma phale, in fruitive action. Spriha, aspiration. Iti tas, mam, me, yaha, one who. Abhijanati, does know. Karma bhi, by the reaction of such work. No, never. Saha, he, badhyate, becomes entangled. So the translation is like this. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So Krishna is saying here, there is no work that affects him. Namam karmani limpanti. So even though Krishna has created this Varnashram system, and even though Krishna apparently does all the duties, but he is not bound by karma. Like Srila Prabhupada gives us example, just like a spider creates its web, but the spider is not caught in its web, isn't it? The other insects get caught, but the spider is not caught. So if the spider itself is not caught in its own web, how can Krishna be caught in the cycle of karma? So Krishna is not affected by karma. Right? And Srila Prabhupada explains here, just like this is a general principle that a king can do no wrong, or the king doesn't have to follow rules and regulations. I mean, he's the one who makes rules and regulations. He's not bound to follow. He may follow, he may not follow. Just like an owner of a company, he makes rules and regulations for his employees, but he may follow, he may not follow. So similarly, Krishna is not affected by the karmas of this world. So therefore, ordinary people think Krishna to be an ordinary man. Um, uh, so Krishna tells in the Gita, uh, what is that verse? Where he says that foolish people consider me to be an ordinary human being. Right? So the Mudas, the foolish people, consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being doing ordinary activities. But Krishna is not part of this material world. And Prabhupada explains here a very beautiful example. And what this verse also means is Krishna is not even responsible for our karma. So no one can tell that, Are, I am doing something wrong, Krishna is responsible. No. Namam karmani limpanti. There is nothing that affects Krishna. So Krishna is not attracted to the things of this world. And all our reactions, whatever suffering that we undergo, or whatever enjoyment that we experience, this is not due to Krishna. Krishna doesn't interfere. Like Prabhupada gives this example, just like rain is not responsible for the different types of vegetation. Right? Somewhere there might be bananas that are growing, somewhere there are mangoes that are growing, somewhere rice paddy field is there. But is the rain responsible for the variety of vegetation? The rain is not responsible. Who is responsible? The person who puts the seed, he is responsible. But you may put a particular seed, but if the rain is not there, then that seed will not sprout only. So ultimately, Krishna is responsible, but immediate responsibility is ours. So that's why Srila Prabhupada is quoting the verses from the various Vedic Smriti, that in the material creation, the ultimate cause is, the supreme cause is the Lord, but the immediate cause is our own karma. So Krishna doesn't take responsibility of our actions. So if we do something wrong and if we are suffering, we can't say it's because of Krishna. Not possible. Just like at the end of the Mahabharata war, Gandhari is cursing Krishna. Krishna, it is because of you the war happened. I mean, how is it because of Krishna? Her sons were adamant for the war to happen. That's why the war happened. Right? So we can't blame our suffering on Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is saying here, Namam karmani limpanti, name karme phale spriha. And Krishna is not, he doesn't have any desire. Karma phale spriha. Spriha means desire. So generally, one who has aspiration for the fruits of work, karma phale, right? If you want to enjoy something, then you work. But Krishna has no desire to enjoy. And why does Krishna need to enjoy the things of this world? He doesn't need. Like Prabhupada gives this example, a owner of a company doesn't enjoy like the ordinary workers of the company. Low scale enjoyment he doesn't experience. The workers of the company may go out, on a vacation to some nearby place. But the owner of the company, he may go out in America, he may go out in a very, costly place. The standard of enjoyment is different. So therefore, Krishna doesn't enjoy in the material world. It's not that Krishna wants heavenly enjoyment. Krishna wants to enjoy apsaras. Not needed. We were discussing this past time in Badrinath. There is the story of Narnarayan Rishi, one of the avatars of the Lord. They were meditating there, and Indra became insecure. And Indra thought, I like to enjoy women. So Narnarayan Rishi also will like to enjoy women. So he sent some apsaras there. But Narnarayan Rishi, from their own bodies, they produce so many apsaras. Why? Because for the Lord, ordinary enjoyment of this world is absolutely not needed. So Prabhupada is explaining these two very important points. The first is that we are responsible for our own suffering. We can't put the responsibility on the Lord. He doesn't take responsibility. It is due to our own karma. And the second thing is, Krishna doesn't need to enjoy like all of us. Name karma phale spriha. And then Krishna says, iti mam yo bijanati karma birna sabhadyate. One who understands this, iti mam yo bijanati. Iti mam means one who understands that Krishna creates the cycle of karma, but he is not bound by it. Krishna is not bound by this cycle of karma. Krishna is not part of this material world. He doesn't have a material body, right? And he doesn't perform material activities. Anyone who understands this, karma bir nasa badhyate, for such a person, he is not bound by karma. That means the result of knowing Krishna, if you just know Krishna, what is the result? You are not bound by his system. So if you just understand who Krishna is, if you just understand Krishna's system, and you understand that how Krishna is transcendental to the system, janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. In the same chapter, it comes in the beginning, and almost the same meaning is there in this verse also. So Krishna is saying, anyone who knows that Krishna is beyond this world, he is not affected by the karmas of this world, such a person will himself not get entangled. He will get free. Right? So this is the result of knowing Krishna. Just like, one time, there's the story, there was one guy, his car stopped, moving, there was some problem in the engine. It's not starting only. So he called a mechanic, and the mechanic said, "Okay, I'll repair it." So the guy said, "How much?" He said, the mechanic said, 1,000 rupees. He said, "Okay, okay." What the mechanic did, he took one hammer and just hit the car. Hit in one place. And the car started. So this guy said, "Arey, that even I could have done. You hit a hammer, even I could have done. Why you're taking 1,000 rupees?" So the mechanic said, "Hitting the hammer you could have done, but where to hit that hammer, that only I know. That is the art of knowing where to hit that hammer." So similarly, if we want to get liberated from this material world, we have to know the art, what we need to do. And that art we will learn only by reading the Shastras, only by reading Gita, Bhagavatam. And Krishna is mercifully speaking Gita to all of us so that we can get liberated. If we only understand Krishna properly. That is why Srila Prabhupada started this Krishna Conscious Movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so that we can understand Krishna properly. If we just understanding Krishna completely is not possible. But even if we try to understand Krishna as far as possible, today morning only we were reading in the Bhagavatam class, Srila Prabhupada explains the same very point. If we just try to understand Krishna as far as possible, we will attain liberation, we will attain Vaikuntha. And that is what Srila Prabhupada explains here in this verse. So we will read the next verse. Evam gyatva kritam karma purverapi mumukshubhi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purved purvataram kritam. Word to word. Evam tas gyatva, knowing well, kritam was performed, karma work, purve by past authorities, api indeed, mumukshubhi who attained liberation, kuru just perform, karma prescribed duty, eva certainly, tasmat therefore, tvam you, purve by the predecessors, purvataram in ancient times, kritam as performed. Translation: all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So Krishna is saying, my dear Arjuna, you are not the first person who is understanding this philosophy, understanding Bhagavad Gita. Evam gyatva kritam karma purverapi mumukshubhi. So this knowledge that I am telling you, what knowledge? How I am transcendental. So if anyone understands Krishna properly, so Krishna is saying here, what will happen? Such a person will be liberated. And all the liberated souls in the previous times, Purver api mumukshubhi. Mumukshubhi means those who have attained liberation. They have acted in this understanding. So just like now, if you have to, in a court, if an advocate has to present his case, he will cite a particular judgment. right? So and so happened. So similarly, Krishna is quoting previous authorities. Krishna is telling, my dear Arjuna, you follow in the footsteps of previous great souls. Purve purvataram kritam. So you follow in the footsteps of previous great souls. So this is the path of bhakti. It's not that we have to start something new or we have to do something new. We have to just follow what the other great souls have done. Mahajano yena gatas sabanta. If we follow in the footsteps of great souls, we will also become a great soul today or tomorrow. That is the process. Whom we associate with. If we associate with fallen people, we will become fallen. If we associate with great people, we will also become great. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, following the footsteps of great souls. And who is a great soul? One who has understood Krishna. Evam yatva kritam karma. One who has understood Krishna, one who has understood the transcendental nature of Krishna, such a person is a great soul. So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashrita. Who is a Mahatma? One who has taken shelter of internal potency. Right? One who is doing Ananya Bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti is a Mahatma. Only such a person can understand Krishna. Today morning in our Bhagavatam class, we were discussing the same point. When Krishna is about to leave from this world and Uddhava comes in front of Krishna, Krishna is congratulating Uddhava and telling Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, to have my darshan, especially at this final moment of mine, is very, very rare. You are able to have this darshan because you are a pure devotee. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyashchasmi tattvata. So who can understand Krishna? Who can become a Mahatma? One who is a devotee of Krishna. Only one who is a devotee of Krishna can understand Krishna, and such a person can become liberated. So Krishna is encouraging Arjuna, follow in the footsteps of great souls. So Prabhupada explains here in the purport, there are two classes of men. One class of men is one whose heart is polluted, who is still impure in the heart. And the second is one who is pure in heart. Two classes of living entities. One whose heart is very impure, dirty, and the other is one whose heart is very pure. And Prabhupada explains here, both should practice Krishna consciousness. Both should practice. Why? Those whose heart is impure, one who has a very dirty heart, he should definitely practice bhakti. Why? Because his heart will become purified. Cheto darpana marjanam. Right? So by practicing bhakti, Shranvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti sritsatam. So by practicing bhakti, by chanting, by hearing, our heart will become pure. So therefore, those who are impure should practice bhakti. Those who are pure, those whose heart is very pure and crystal clear, right? They should also practice bhakti. Why? In order to teach an example, in order to set a proper example. So therefore, Krishna is telling here, Arjuna, even liberated souls practice bhakti. So whatever your status, Nivritta Tarse Rupagiyamanat Bhavoshadi Shotra Manobiramat Kauttama Shloka Gunanuvadat Pumam Virajit Vina Pashugnat. Parikshit Maharaj in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, the first chapter, he's explaining this shloka and he's telling Shukadeva Goswami, who can hear Krishna Katha, who can get benefited from Krishna Katha. He says, Nivritta Tarser, those who are liberated, they also hear Krishna Katha. In order to set a proper example, Nivritta Tarser Upagiyamana Bhavoshadi. And those who are suffering in this world, those who are conditioned souls, they also should hear Krishna Katha. Why? It will act like a medicine for them. So both category of people, those who are liberated, they also practice bhakti in order to set a proper example. And those who are conditioned, they should also practice bhakti so that they can become liberated. Right? So Prabhupada is explaining that both category of people, whatever your category is, one should practice bhakti. And Prabhupada also mentions that foolish people think that what is Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness means retirement from activities. This is what people think. People think liberated means what? You ask people what is liberation? Mukti के बाद क्या होता है? They feel mukti means कुछ नहीं, shanti, shanti, just sleep. That's the understanding of mukti. But Prabhupada is saying, no, that's not the proper understanding. The understanding of mukti is not it's not freedom from activities. It is not retirement from activities, but it is more activities. What is mukti? Mukti is not freedom from activities. It is more activities of Krishna consciousness. So Arjuna was thinking, Are, I just want to get liberated. I don't want any activities in Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada is saying here, Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of great souls. So what is important? To act in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada also mentions, to retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. And very soon Krishna is coming to the next section of action, inaction, forbidden action, karma, right? So Prabhupada is making this point here. More important than retiring from activities is to be active in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, one time he was in Mayapur, and he was talking to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And Prabhupada was telling Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I have made Mayapur so that all of you all, throughout your life, you all preach Krishna consciousness, preach very vigorously. When you're old, you come and retire in Mayapur. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you are also old. Why you are not retiring in Mayapur? Prabhupada said, no, that is not for me. For me, I will continue to preach till the end. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Prabhupada, then we will also never retire. We will also preach Krishna consciousness till the end. So we have Bhishma Dev, till the last moment he is preaching Krishna consciousness. Right? We have Vidura, Uddhava. When Uddhava meets Vidura, Uddhava is very old, but still he is so excited to preach Krishna consciousness. So therefore Prabhupada is mentioning this point that more important than retirement from Krishna consciousness is to be engaged actively for the sake of Krishna. So therefore, Krishna is recommending Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, follow in the footsteps of great souls. All those who have been liberated, study their life. Therefore, studying the life of great souls, studying the life of previous acharyas is very important. We will gain a lot of inspiration by studying their life. Purve purva taram kritam. So if you follow in the footsteps of great souls, if you follow in the footsteps of liberated souls, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you will also become great and liberated. Right? So we'll read the next shloka also. Yeah. And Prabhupada actually in the next shloka, anyway, this point has come here, I'll mention it here. So the scriptures explain there are 12 kinds of Mahajans. So we were the essence of this shloka that we discussed now, text 15, is that following in the footsteps of great souls. Krishna is encouraging Arjuna, following the footsteps of great people. So these great souls are called Mahajan. So the scriptures explain there are 12 Mahajans. Who are the 12 Mahajans? Swayambhu Narada Shambhu, Komara Kapilo Manu, Prallado Janako Bhishmo, Balir Vaya Sakib Vayam. Right? So Swayambhu is Brahmaji. So these are the 12 Mahajans. Brahma, Narada, Shambhu Shiva, Komara is 4 Kumaras, Kapila, Manu, then Prahlad Maharaj, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Vaiyasaki is Shukdev Goswami, and Vayam. Vayam is Yamraj. So this is Yamraj explaining this. So these are the 12 Mahajans. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the next shloka, we'll be coming to that shloka, that we have to follow in the footsteps of great souls. If we follow in the footsteps of great souls, we will also become great. So till here, text 15, we end the second section of the 4th chapter. Okay? So the 4th chapter has total 42 verses. Out of 42 verses, we have done 15 verses till now. The first section, so the acronym for the 4th chapter is years, EARS. The first section, verse 1 to 10, speaks about eternal education. Verses 11 to 15 that we just completed now speak about accurate understanding about certain very important concepts. Like we saw the concept of karma and few other things. Now from 16 to 24 is the next section, reactions. What are the various kinds of karma and what are the reactions of karma? Krishna explains here, right? And then finally, the last section speaks about sacrifice. So we'll get into this section now, verse number 16, reactions. ठीक है? Text 16. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo api atra mohita tatte karma pravakshami yagyatva mokshashe shubhat. Word to word. Kim, what is? Karma, action. Kim, what is? Akarma, inaction. Iti, thus. Kavayah, the intelligent. Api, also. Atra, in this matter. Mohita, are bewildered. Tat, that. Te, unto you. Karma, work. Pravakshami, I shall explain. Yat, which. Gyatva, knowing. Mokshashe, you will be liberated. Ashubhat, from all ill fortune. Translation. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what is action, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Right? So Krishna is telling here, my dear Arjuna, understanding karma is not easy. It's not easy. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo api atra mohita. Even intelligent munis, rishis, they can't understand what karma is properly. But I am going to explain to you. So Krishna is so merciful. The concept of karma, which is so difficult to understand, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I will explain to you. Because you are my devotee, you are my friend, I will explain this concept to you. Right? So Prabhupada explains here, we saw in the previous verse, what is the essence of the previous verse? That one should follow in the footsteps of previous bona fide devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of great souls. That means one should not try to imagine something. One should not concoct. One should be humble and follow in the footsteps of great souls. And Prabhupada explains here, to act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow in the line of disciplic succession. And that is what the fourth chapter stresses on. We saw in the beginning of the fourth chapter only, Krishna explains very clearly, Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishyo vidu. So Krishna is telling, my dear Arjuna, I have been giving this knowledge in parampara to Vivaswan, to Manu, to Ikshvaku. This is the system. This is Krishna's system. What is Krishna's system? Follow parampara. So Prabhupada explains here, Krishna explained in the beginning of the fourth chapter, that he gave this knowledge first to sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan gave it to his son Vaivaswata Manu. Vaivaswata Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. And in this way, there is a disciplic succession that was coming. But here again, Krishna is giving the same knowledge to Arjuna. So if you follow a disciplic succession, a bona fide disciplic succession, if you follow in the footsteps of Arjuna, we will also understand what karma is. The concept of karma, which is very difficult to understand, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I will explain to you in very simple terms. So Prabhupada mentions very clearly, one cannot come to a conclusion of what is right, what is wrong, based on one's own understanding. Religion means one has to follow authorities. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. One has to follow in the footsteps of great souls. And in this connection, Prabhupada quotes the 12 Mahajans. I just showed you the 12 Mahajans, the list, right? I'll just show you again. Right? So these are the 12 Mahajans. So one has to follow the footsteps of great souls. Only when we follow in the footsteps of great souls, we can understand what is bhakti, we can understand what is karma, we can understand what this material world is. Everything will be clear only when we follow in the footsteps of great souls. Today, I was just reading a quote of Sachinandan Maharaj. So Maharaj explains, when we chant Hare Krishna, we should be chanting in a mood of separation. My dear Lord, I have left you. I have left the spiritual world, come to the material world. I'm suffering. Please rescue me. So we should be chanting in this mood, But the problem is we don't experience this mood and we can't imitate this mood artificially. So what we should do, Sachinandan Maharaj explains a very beautiful point. We should go like beggars in front of great souls. Those great souls who have realized Krishna, we should go and beg in front of them. Please give me Krishna. Krishna se tomara Krishna dite paro tomara shakati aache. Ami to kangala Krishna Krishna boli dhai tava pache pache. My dear spiritual master, my dear great souls, you have Krishna. I don't have Krishna. I am poverty stricken. Please give me Krishna. So this is the mood. And the same mood Krishna is telling here, my dear Arjuna, you follow in the footsteps of great souls, right? This concept of karma, which is very difficult to understand, you will be able to understand it only when you learn it from a proper parampara, right? That's what Krishna explains here. We will read text 17. कर्मणो हि अपि बोद्धव्यम बोद्धव्यम च विकर्मण अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम गहना कर्मणो गतिः. Word to word, karmanah of work, he certainly, api also, bodhavyam should be understood, bodhavyam should be understood, cha also, vikarmanah of forbidden work, akarmana of inaction, cha also, bodhavyam should be understood, gahana very difficult, karmanah of work, gatihi entrance. So the translation is like this: the intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what is action, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So Krishna is saying, Gahana karma no gatihi. The intricacies of karma are very difficult to understand. It's not easy. Therefore, one should try to understand. So Prabhupada is writing in the first sentence only, if one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinction between action, inaction, and unauthorized action. So there are three kinds of karma. Three words Krishna is mentioning here: karma, vikarma, akarma. So karma generally means good activities, helping others like that. Vikarma means bad activities, right? Anything that is forbidden in scriptures. And akarma means bhakti related activities. So Prabhupada mentions if someone is serious about liberation, one should know clearly what should I do, what I shouldn't do. One should understand Krishna consciousness. One should understand one's position. Who is Krishna? Who am I? What is my relationship with him? Sambandha Bideya Prayojan. I am an eternal servant of Krishna. And the entire Gita is aimed to this conclusion. Aimed to what? A karma. We should definitely not do vikarma. We should also go beyond ordinary karma and perform a karma. And what is akarma? Akarma means doing bhakti to the Lord. Right? So Prabhupada again mentions here, in order to understand this, to understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Very beautiful. Prabhupada is mentioning here, if one has to understand what is karma, what I should do, what are wrong activities, what is akarma, how to perform akarma, how to perform bhakti, one has to approach and associate with sadhus, those who are authorities. Those who know the science, one has to associate. So if you associate with such devotees who are in parampara, it is as good as associating with Krishna only. And if you are associating with Krishna, you will know knowledge as it is. But if you try to figure it out on your own, what will happen? Otherwise, even the most intelligent person will be bewildered. That means our material intelligence is not enough to understand the concept of karma, vikarma, akarma. It is not enough to understand Krishna. Material intelligence will fail us. So we have to borrow intelligence from great souls. We have to borrow intelligence from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Then only we can actually become intelligent. So true intelligence, true education is actually sitting and hearing Gita Bhagavatam. Only when we read scriptures, we will become educated in the true sense. Otherwise, we may be so-called intelligent, but we will never figure out the mysteries of this world. We will never figure it out. Only when we become humble, when we accept that I'm a fool, I don't understand anything, and when we approach great souls in that mode, begging them, please explain to me, please help me realize what is the truth, then only we can understand. So we will stop at this point at text 17. We will continue the next time from text 18. Okay? So anyone has any questions, any comments? Hope it was clear for all of you all. Was it audible and clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. Very clear.
Okay. So if there are no questions, then we can stop for today. We will continue from text 18 the next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.